But now, MartoGalde versus P4T0M4N. P4T0M4N with the spiciest team here. Funnily enough, the spiciest picks in the top 3 are picks that you see regularly in the Open Great League tournaments.
Right, the Dusknoir and the Togekiss, 2 Pokemon that in the Open Great League do shine, but we haven't seen as much in this format. But that Dusknoir has been a game changer for P4T0M4N. If you look at the team of Marto, as well as the team of Nighttime Clasher, it's really only afraid of one Pokemon, the Oranguru. And that is an interesting thought process, right? Because it's the most common Pokemon. It's on every team, literally 100% usage rate on day 2. And it hard checks the Dusknoir, but Dusknoir has strong play against every other Pokemon.
Yeah, it really forces your opponent to bring that Oranguru and possibly that Gyarados. Gyarados, a little bit of an advantageous matchup as well. But look at those accolades. What is this? Regional champion, LAIC champion, Worlds top 4, Worlds finalist, NAIC top 4, EUIC champion, regional champion. Those trainers are on fire, trying to get into the grand finals of LAIC, adding another one of those big accolades to their names.
The success of these two is almost hard to fathom. For context, MartoGalde won 4 tournaments in a single season last season, one of which was this one right here. He's your defending LAIC champion. For P4T0M4N, a Worlds finalist. Also, his 4th consecutive day 3 at an international competition. He's won regional titles, he's won EUIC, and now he's trying to win LAIC. Players getting ready to lock in.
And P4T0M4N, he is a trainer who has almost done it all, but he's one whose hunger never vanishes. He keeps on locking in for every tournament. He just wants more. His greed might consume it at some point, but another Dusknoir lead!
This has been his go-to strategy. He is daring his opponents to lead the Oranguru. He's playing the odds, and he's going straight for a dynamic punch in the lead, not messing around. MartoGalde going to respect it with the Protect Shield.
Getting the first shield, of course. Doesn't get a debuff here like in the Runerigus matchup, so the matchup gets less good the more shields are being used by MartoGalde. Decides to let it go, does a decent chunk, but you're definitely going to reach another dynamic punch.
Now it looks like the Dugong could actually... Oh! And a catch from Marto, anticipating the dynamic punch. This will be resisted on his Gyarados, as well as debuff from that Icy Wind.
That is still going to chunk a little bit. P4T0M4N now shifting strategy, brings in the Oranguru, a Pokemon that can farm down Gyarados like nobody else. First Aqua Tail is being thrown here. P4T0M4N, are you risking to take damage from a super effective Crunch? No, takes the bait.
A great bait from Marto, preserving some extra energy, grabbing that Protect Shield, and P4T0M4N opting for the Trailblaze. This attack will boost the Oranguru's attack by 1 stage, and it also knocks out the Gyarados before it gets to another attack. And now, Dugong trying to fight back against the Oranguru.
MartoGalde is neutralizing the attack boost that P4T0M4N has. However, he caught a charge attack on the Gyarados. That's great and everything, but look at how strong this Oranguru is looking now. The shields are even in this scenario. He is so far ahead in terms of HP. The Oranguru throws a super effective, non-debuffed charge attack here. Almost knocks out. Won't get to another Icy Wind. Swaps into the mirror match.
Ramping up is the Oranguru. This brutal swing, threatening, super effective damage. Marto doesn't like this position, and this connects, doing about 50% damage to his own Oranguru, and there's still a fully healthy Medicham lurking in the back.
It is absolutely insane how much pressure this Dusknoir puts on other teams. It got a shield, then forced MartoGalde to give up switch, have another positive matchup with the Oranguru onto that chipped Gyarados here, and now the Medicham wants to clean up this match. Oranguru now boosting its own attack up for MartoGalde.
A lot of energy for Marto and his shiny Oranguru, but there is a very healthy Medicham that stands in his way, and the brutal swing coming through will draw that final Protect Shield from P4T0M4N, and we see the quick swap. Marto, tried to get off the Icy Wind, but it's not going to happen. No shields remain. This dynamic punch will KO, and P4T0M4N is looking to take game number 1.
MartoGalde hoping to catch something in this matchup of Oranguru versus Medicham, but P4T0M4N dominating here. He is locked in 1-0 for P4T0M4N.
the stoic nature of P4T0M, man, is something I feel like we haven't seen from. It looks like a different P4T0M, man, and it's the same in terms of his play, right, and his success. But normally he's someone that gets really fired up, wears his emotion on his sleeve, looking at the crowd. He has seemed so locked in. We've seen barely any emotion across his face.
Yes.
I wonder if there's something different from him. That hunger just seems a little bit extra this weekend.
Yep, he has been locking in so much for this tournament. You could really tell he has been outplaying his opponents left and right, and he just knows that he might have the best Pokemon on his team that might be left in this tournament. Dusknoir, a Pokemon that has been seen so few times this weekend, but it is dominating against the team of MartoGalde, and it is also looking really good versus a potential match versus Nighttime Clasher.
Overlooked because of the Oranguru, I think, because Runerigus, maybe a more common ghost we saw in this tournament, has that Brutal Swing coverage to make the Oranguru uncomfortable. Dusknoir, however, Shadow Punch, Dynamic Punch, you're heavily resisting the ghost type damage. You have to rely on that neutral Dynamic Punch, which is not same type attack bonus. Maybe that discouraged people from bringing the Dusknoir. However, there's really only one check to it that we've seen, and this has proven to be a critical strategy from P4T0M, man, and could it be the difference maker here on day 3 going forward?
This reminds me of a tournament in Europe where Paulo won with a Shadow Magnezone. She led it every single game. The opponents kept on leading weak to it, hoping she would one day not bring it in the lead. This time around, it is what happens. P4T0M leaving the Dusknoir on the bench, even while MartoGalde really heavily prepares for it.
Finally changing the strategy, and like you said, Marto bringing 3 of his best responses to the Dusknoir, but it's nowhere to be found. Dynamic Punch incoming from the Medicham as P4T0M looks to play out this relatively neutral lead.
Medicham is all swaps in. The Runerigus doesn't get another Dynamic Punch on it. Was hoping for a catch. P4T0M immediately throws a Charge Attack. Ice Punch. Instead of double resisted, it's super effective.
You could tell from the expression, Marto was trying to catch that Dynamic Punch unsuccessfully. Great patience from P4T0M, and now the Runerigus met by the Oranguru. Brutal Swing coming through. It's not the hardest hitting attack, so Oranguru takes it quite well despite being super effective, and now Oranguru actually overfarming, looking to build up energy before throwing it.
Do you think P4T0M can farm this all the way down? Confusion damage is going to register after this one, but are you going to reach another Brutal Swing? No, P4T0M says, I really, unfortunately, need to give up some of the energy I have on Oranguru. Throws a Trailblaze, goes unshielded, you're boosted, you have a Brutal Swing stored already, throws it immediately, Charge Attack priority, well played from MartoGalde, avoiding the residual energy on that boosted Oranguru.
Going to force P4T0M to expend the Protect Shield to get off this boosted Brutal Swing, and keep in mind, Marto has 2 charge attacks loaded, so he wants to preserve his Gyarados as well. He's going to put up the Protect Shield and look to maybe farm down, but P4T0M is not going to give him that advantage. He's going to aggressively swap into the Medicham.
Wow, another Aqua Tail being thrown there. P4T0M is always at his almost at his last charged attack there. Aqua Tail is being thrown, would knock out if you throw another one. Now the Oranguru is being swapped in. P4T0M is reaching to that Dynamic Punch. MartoGalde is possibly hoping for a Dusknoir in the back, but will be faced by Gyarados. Gives up a Protect Shield that opens up for a crunch later on and reaches another Dynamic Punch. P4T0M's Medicham is doing work.
Devastating Dynamic Punch for Marto, chipping the health to his Oranguru around 50%, and there's a full Gyarados to get through. He does have a lot of energy, but Gyarados can take a Brutal Swing fairly comfortably and is approaching that crunch, which will be enough to knock out the Oranguru, but not before Marto unleashes another. He does still have his own swap available now.
MartoGalde's Gyarados also has a lot of energy. We'll have to keep that in mind. P4T0M is shielding, so he doesn't get into the crunch range. Aqua Tail, CMP won by P4T0M is going to deal some damage, but does it knock out? It is resisted after all. This is a very low Gyarados. It hangs on to 1 HP. The Charge Attack priority goes off. Crunch is going to put this Gyarados of P4T0M devastatingly low.
Gyarados barely hanging on for Marto, puts the opposition in a range where it is able to hang on. Here we go. Does he have energy on the Oranguru? He does not. This confusion is going to knock out, and Marto is looking to potentially take back game number 2.
Finally, MartoGalde is online, puts himself on the drawing board here with with the game versus Patoman.
And maybe that is what he needed. Asking for some water from him. That's some good sportsmanship right there. These two friends, you know, asking, hey, can I have some water? No problem, man. And ties up the series. And maybe that's what he needed. A tough set. If we asked Marto himself, I'm sure he would say maybe he wasn't perfectly pleased with how he played against Nighttime Clasher. And finally getting a game on the board. Is that the lift? Is that the confidence bolster that Marto needed to get himself back in this series?
He's back in lock-in mode, and I'm really happy that we're having a game here. Patoman can't sweep MartoGalde here. It is 1-1. The Medicham was putting in over hours there for Patoman, but in the end, the Gyarados living on 1 HP made the big difference.
And you saw the expression from Marto there. He was like, he did not like the position he was in, but then he said, oh man, okay, I lived on 1 HP with my Gyarados. I still have a chance here, and gets the confusion down with the Oranguru. So a very close game number 2. Marto able to even up the series as these players look to lock in for game number 3.
It was also really important that the Gyarados only lived on 1 HP, because if you got 2 confusions in on the side of Patoman, I think Oranguru would have won it for him, even though I do think that you then just get farmed down by Dragon Breath.
Trying to maneuver in such a similar matchup in this meta can be quite difficult. The mind game there from Patoman, not bringing the Dusknoir. Marto did try to gang up on it as best as possible and was still able to find a way to win despite it not being there. Here we go. What adjustments will we see employed? Marto, Patoman, head-to-head. Game number 3. The Togekiss makes its first appearance of the series, and it finds a solid matchup against the Oranguru.
Patoman hoping, of course, for maybe a Medicham or a Vespiquen in the lead, but he's going to throw an Aura Sphere here. You would think, looking at the attack typings, that Togekiss has a massive advantage, walling all the energy, but look at the confusion damage. MartoGalde immediately throwing a Trailblaze to ramp up the confusion damage, and in scenarios where shields are used by the Oranguru, it actually has the edge. Now Patoman aggressively swapping into this boosted Oranguru with the Medicham, taking some confusion damage.
Gyarados swaps in behind energy here. How will that affect how this matchup plays out? Patoman electing to go for the Ice Punches. Maybe wants to get to triple Ice Punch in this matchup as opposed to going for the double Dynamic Punch here. Outpacing, throwing another one. Marto already at 2 Aqua Tails.
Marto will have to throw very, very soon. I think he can do 1 more Dragon Breath and then, decides to put up a shield. That gives him way more time. Does 1 Dragon Breath, reaches for that Aqua Tail. Patoman does not have to shield it unless he wants to desperately keep HP on the Medicham. Not the case. This might be Aqua Tail range. Throws a Dynamic Punch. Now MartoGalde deciding to Dragon Breath. Does not want to let any Psycho Cut damage go through for free.
Patoman wanted to make sure he got off that attack before the switch timer was up, but Marto actually able to double up on the Aqua Tail here. So not only can he potentially knock out the Medicham, but but we see potential. Maybe Patoman see the Psycho Cut go through, and it eliminates the next Aqua Tail from Marto.
That is a full fast attack or full charge attack stolen from MartoGalde. Patoman in a decent position now. Now the first Exacerbate is being used here. Togekiss double resists it with the Fairy and Flying typing. Barely any damage. No fast attack pressure. Oranguru is being swapped in. He has to farm this Togekiss down. Togekiss can throw on perfect timing here. Aura Sphere, who is going to deal a lot of damage, would knock out the Oranguru, is being shielded up.
Farm down opportunity here, but not before another Aura Sphere is delivered. Marto, his Oranguru with energy is going down, and does he have any opportunity here?
But that could be a nasty farm down for the Vespiquen. In the back, there's only a full HP Oranguru. This Vespiquen is loaded with energy. Yes, there is Protect Shield, but this is a bad matchup for Oranguru. Patoman maybe needs the help of Medicham. Reaches for an Ice Punch, actually connects it. No Protect Shields remaining. Dangerous HP range for MartoGalde. How many confusions can you take?
Puts the Vespiquen so low, and although this is a positive matchup, it's not gonna matter when you're at 10% health. Oranguru, confusion's down, its hardest counter, and Patoman is 1 game away from the Grand Finals.
Vespiquen taking so much damage in every single matchup it is being brought in. Patoman maneuvering around it. The alignment looked promising for MartoGalde. This time around has the Vespiquen on Oranguru, but Patoman is not bothered. Togekiss actually being insanely good in this matchup.
The critical decision to me was protect shielding that Aqua Tail when Marto had doubled up because he saw the Psycho Cut had snuck through. Was that Gyarados within one Psycho Cut range? That's a tough call in the moment. Psycho Cut does very little damage, but it paid off. It eliminated that second Aqua Tail and also preserved the meta jam for P4T0M4N where it delivered that Ice Punch, which was really the final blow to that Vespiquen.
And this was incredibly close there. If this Vespiquen could have gone to double access or before being knocked out by a confusion, I think it would have farmed down the meta gem.
I agree with you. And Marto, now down 2 games to 1. P4T0M4N has looked in control in this series. The games in which he has won have been a little bit more convincing, and that game that Marto held on to 1 HP with his Gyarados was very close. So it seems like Pato is in control. Marto, if there's anyone that can do it, it's probably him. One of the most accomplished trainers in our game's history, and he's trying to find his way back to the grand finals like he did last year as these players get ready.
This is a very dense meta. Not too many different picks are in the games, but P4T0M4N is running so much spice, not bringing any of it in this matchup. First lead is going to be Medicham on the side of P4T0M4N versus Oranguru, but P4T0M4N is having this dynamic punch advantage because it is such an efficient charge attack.
Battle of the psychic types, but because of the dual typings, this dynamic punch hits for some heavy neutral damage, and Marto opting to stay in. He's going to fire off the Trailblaze quickly to ramp up the Oranguru's attack, wants to do more damage to the Medicham.
Now P4T0M4N is reaching for that next dynamic punch, can do one more Psycho Cut and is now almost threatening a knockout. Depending on how good this Oranguru is, it will hang on. I think this might be a 1 or 2 HP scenario here. Oh, this is not too much. Swaps out into the Gyarados immediately. Wants to preserve the Brutal Swing in the back there. Now P4T0M4N is just staying in here, reaching for the next dynamic punch.
You see Marto bank the Brutal Swing, swap into the Gyarados. This is what you are seeing in this meta. The counter swap into the Oranguru, putting on the confusion pressure as Marto opts for the Aqua Tail bait. We've seen this protect shielded before. Is P4T0M4N going to do it again? Yes, he is.
But this is a strategy that has been applied multiple times. Whenever you chip onto a Gyarados, you can bring in your Oranguru, confuse it down. P4T0M4N, this time it is going to be the super effective crunch. Is going to put up another protect shield. Everything on Oranguru. Let's go. Do more confusion. Throws a Brutal Swing. It could have potentially farmed down. Maybe an Aqua Tail could have been reached.
P4T0M4N perhaps senses it could potentially be the Runerigus in the back, and he doubles down, investing both of his Protect Shields in his Oranguru. Marto wants some chip damage. He figures this may be the best opportunity to use this Brutal Swing that I have banked, so he's going to chip the opposing Oranguru, putting it close to Brutal Swing range for his Runerigus.
Does not use the Brutal Swing on Oranguru to finish off the game, which gives 1 free confusion. Sometimes 1 free charged attack, 1 free fast attack is all that matters in a game in this close meta. Now, P4T0M4N is going to throw another one, another Shadow Claw, going through for MartoGalde. He can control the Oranguru, but can he control what's in the back? Because P4T0M4N has a Gyarados. Keep in mind, yes, Water versus Ground type, but if you have a lot of energy, P4T0M4N throws in the Medicham. He tries to reach for the Ice Punch. Brutal Swing is being thrown, but there is so much energy already through the Shadow Claws.
Marto not convinced the next Shadow Claw would have knocked out, so he decides to throw the Brutal Swing to avoid taking an Ice Punch. We saw the catch attempt on the Brutal Swing for P4T0M4N. He actually waited to try and catch that, and this has so much energy. This Runerigus, it's gonna throw the Rock Tomb. Marto understands he's still switch locked. He cannot catch this, and this Rock Tomb's gonna deal a great amount of damage to Gyarados. Can it still reach an Aqua Tail?
Gyarados is so bulky, apparently it is still in the yellow. You can reach it, but he goes for the Aqua Tail. It is 1 stage debuffed. How much damage is this going to make? Is this game for P4T0M4N super effective? Gyarados is such a heavy hitter, deals so much damage. Runerigus still has energy, it is hanging on. It is going for the Brutal Swing, but it gets farmed down. P4T0M4N wins the game and advances to the grand final of LAIC.
P4T0M4N on another championship Sunday and another grand finals for this trainer. Unbelievable.